Good day, classmates. Good day, ma'am. My name is Anna Rose Pastoral from Group 5 Photosynthesis, and I will discuss about phosphorylation. So, what is photophosphorylation? Photophosphorylation is the process of utilizing light energy from photosynthesis to convert adenosine pyrophosphate to adenosine triphosphate. It is the process of synthesizing energy-rich ATP molecules by transferring the phosphate group into ADP molecules in the presence of light. It is also the process that occurs during photosynthesis in plants. So, who discovered photophosphorylation? Photophosphorylation was discovered in chloroplast by D. Arnon and co-workers and in bacterial chromatophores, which is matatagpuan sa cytoplasmic membrane. So, why it is called photophosphorylation? This process requires light to be absorbed twice, once in each photosynthesis, and it makes ATP. In fact, it is called phosphorylation because it involves using light energy, which means photo, to make ATP from ADP, which is phosphorylation. Where does photophosphorylation occurs? This occurs in the chloroplast of cells, specifically in the thylakoid membrane. In photophosphorylation, or the light-dependent reactions, light is absorbed by chlorophyll and other pigment molecules. The light energy is used to create a high-energy electron donor and a lower-energy electron acceptor. Electrons then move spontaneously from donor to acceptor through an electron transport chain. All, all organisms produce ATP, which is universal energy, currency of life. In photosynthesis, this commonly involves photolysis or photodissociation of water and continuous unidirectional flow of electrons from water to photosystem 2. Only two sources of energy are available to living organisms, which is the sunlight and reduction oxidation reaction. We have two types of photophosphorylation, which is cyclic photophosphorylation and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Pag sinabi nating cyclic photophosphorylation, it is the process which results in the movement of electrons in a cyclic manner for synthesizing ATP molecules. This form of photophosphorylation occurs on the stroma, lamellae, or fret channels. In cyclic photophosphorylation, the high-energy electron released from P700, which is the photosystem 1, of flow down a cyclic pathway. In cyclic electron flow, the electron begins in pigment complex called photosystem 1. So, nagsisimula siya sa photosystem 1. Passes from the primary acceptor to ferredoxin and then to plastoquinone, then to cytochrome B6F, a similar complex that found in mitochondria, and then to plastocin before returning to photosystem 1. This transport chain produces a proton motive force, pumping hydrogen ions across the membrane. So this produces a concentration gradient that can be used to power ATP synthase during chemiomosis. This pathway is known as cyclic photophosphorylation. It produces neither oxygen nor nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate hydrogen, or in short, NADPH. In this process, plant cells just accomplish the ADP to ATP for intermediate energy for the cells. This process usually takes place in thylakoid membrane and uses photosystem 1 and the chlorophyll P700. So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. It produces neither oxygen 2 nor NADPH, unlike non-cyclic photophosphorylation. It occurs in both aerobic and anaerobic conditions. In this electron transport system, the electron which was ejected from P700 molecules is cycled back. Thus, the process is known as cyclic electron transport. Under certain conditions, the photoexcited electron takes an alternative path called cyclic electron flow, which uses photosystem 1 but not photosystem 2, which is the P68. This process produces no nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate hydrogen, or NADPH, and no oxygen too, but it does make ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. So this is the diagram that shows the cyclic phosphorylation. Next is non-cyclic photophosphorylation. The photophosphorylation process, which results in the movement of electrons in a non-cyclic manner for synthesizing ATP molecules using the energy from excited electron provided by photosystem 2. Non-cyclic phosphorylation is a two-stage process involving two different chlorophyll photosystems, which is yung photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Being a light reaction, non-cyclic photophosphorylation occurs in the thylakoid membrane. First, a water molecule is broken down into 2 hydrogen ion plus 1/2 oxygen 2 plus 2 negative electron by a process called photolysis or light splitting. The 2 electrons from water molecules are kept in photosystem 2, while the 2 hydrogen ion and 1/2 oxygen 2 are left out for further use. Then a proton is absorbed by chlorophyll pigments surrounding the reaction core center of the photosystem. The light excites the electrons of each pigment, causing a chain reaction that eventually transfers energy to the core of photosystem 2, exciting the 2 electrons that are transferred to their primary electron acceptor, phaeophytin. The deficit of electron is replenished by taking electrons from another molecules of water. The electron transfer from phaeophytin to plastochionan, which takes the 2 negative electrons from phaeophytin, the 2 hydrogen ions from the stroma, and form PQH2, which later is broken into PQ. The 2 negative electron is released to cytochrome B6F complex, and 2 hydrogen ions are released into thylakoid lumen. The electrons electrons then pass through the site B6 and site F, then they are passed to plasticine, providing the energy for hydrogen ions to be pumped into thylakoid space. This creates a gradient, making hydrogen ions flow back into the stroma of the chloroplast, providing the energy from the regeneration of ATP. The photosystem II complex replaces its lost electrons from an external source. However, the two other electrons are not returned to photosystem II as they would in the analogous cyclic pathway. Instead, the still excited electrons are transferred to a photosystem I complex, which boosts their energy level to higher level using second solar proton. The highly excited electrons are transferred to the acceptor molecules, but this time is passed on the enzyme called ferredoxin NADP reductase, which uses them to catalyze the reaction as shown. So ito yung reaction. NADP NADP plus 2 hydrogen ion plus 2 electron to NADPH plus hydrogen ion. This consumes the hydrogen ion produces by the splitting of water, leading to a net production of molecular oxygen, ATP, and NADPH plus hydrogen ion with the consumption of solar protons and water. The concentration of NADPH in the chloroplast may help regulate which pathway electrons take through the light reaction. When the chloroplast runs low on ATP for the Calvin cycle, NADPH will accumulate and the plant may shift for non-cyclic to cyclic electron flows. This pathway is also called as the Z scheme of photosynthesis. So what is Z scheme of photosynthesis? When the chloroplast run low on ATP for a Calvin cycle, NADPH will accumulate and the plant may shift from non-cyclic to cyclic electron flow. Because the redox diagram from photosynthesis 2 to photosynthesis 1 looks like a big alphabet Z. Ayun. Kaya siya tinawag na Z scheme photosynthesis. Yung para siyang isang malaking letter Z. Yung pathway niya, ganun yung pathway. Hindi tulad nung sa cyclic na pabilog, pabalik-balik. In this scheme of electrons transport, the electron ejected from photosystem 2 did not return to its place of origin. Instead, it was passed on photosystem 1. Similarly, the electron emitted from photosystem 1 did not cycle back but was used to produce NADP into NADPH plus hydrogen ion. Therefore, this electron transport was being called as non-cyclic electron transport and the phosphorylation as non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Thus, in this system, the photosystem 1 is reduced by electrons coming from photosystem 2 and the photosystem 2 is reduced by electrons coming from water. This is associated with photooxidation of photoreleasing molecular oxygen 2. What is the significance of non-cyclic phosphorylation? Non-cyclic electron transport or photophosphorylation comprises of the sequence of electrons transport where NADP is produced by photosystem 1 and photosystem 1 is produced I mean non-cyclic electron transport or photophosphorylation comprises of the sequence of electron transport where NADP is reduced by photosystem 1 and the photosystem 1 is reduced by photosystem 2 and finally photosystem 2 is reduced by electron coming from photooxidation of water. Thus, the cycle is broken during this electron transport and therefore it is called non-cyclic. The non-cyclic electron transport is most important in photosynthesis as it supplies assimilatory power in the form of NADPH and ATP for CO2 assimilation and purifies the atmospheric air. So, ito yung diagram ng non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Makikita ninyo na yung pathway niya is parang pa-zay, ganyan. Hindi tulad ng tapos hindi siya nabalik sa chlorophyll. Hindi tulad ng cyclic photophosphorylation as in pabalik-balik lang siya dito. So, ito yung comparison ng cyclic photophosphorylation and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Sa cyclic photophosphorylation, only photosystem 1 is involved, samantalang sa non-cyclic photophosphorylation, both photosystem 1 and 2 are involved. Sa cyclic photophosphorylation, P700 is the active reaction center, while in non-cyclic, it is P680. In cyclic photophosphorylation, electrons travel in cyclic manner, when in non-cyclic, electrons travel in non-cyclic manner, or yung inasabi ko nga kanina, na pa-zay siya, tapos hindi siya nabalik. Hindi nagpabalik-balik sa photosystem 1. Sa cyclic, electron revert to photosystem 1. Non-cyclic, electrons from photosystem are accepted by NADP. ATP or adenosine triphosphate molecules are produced. Samantalang sa non-cyclic naman, both nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate hydrogen and adenine triphosphate molecules are produced. Sa cyclic, hindi required ang water, samantalang sa non-cyclic, present sa photolysis yung tubig. Hindi siya, yung water. NADPH is not synthesized. At sa non-cyclic naman, NADPH is synthesized. Sa cyclic photophosphorylation, oxygen is not evolved as byproduct, while in non-cyclic, oxygen is evolved as a byproduct. Sa cyclic photophosphorylation, in this process is predominant only in bacteria, while sa non-cyclic naman, this process is predominant in all green plants. So that's all. Yung reference ko po at syllabus books, nakuha ko siya sa Plant Physiology by H.S. Srivastava, a textbook of Plant Physiology and Metabolism, Plant Physiology and Metabolism by Kamadjit and co-workers. That's all. Thank you.